Hello, hello, advanced pre-calculus. It is time to fill in the chart for the unit circle. Okay, so this is the part 2 here, unit circle and the unit circle chart. So I'm just going to be picking up all of these values here that we did, and we're going to be putting those, just organizing them in the chart. Now, you're not going to have to do this chart on a test or anything like that, but just organizing it in the chart just helps the patterns solidify, in your brain. So let's start with the quadrantals, the 0, 90, 180, and 270, and then 360 would be, here. So let's start with those. Okay, so the quadrantal angles, the first one is 0, and it's going to be that point 1, 0. Okay, so you've got the x value and the y value of 0 degrees. If you're on the unit circle, you're out 1 unit right here. So that's 1, 0. And then up here is 0, 1. So that's at 90. And over here, you're at negative 1, 0. That's at 180. And then down here, you're at 0, negative 1. And then the cycle repeats at this 360. So we'll just stop right here we won't repeat it. We'll just stop with those. Okay, so in terms of radians, this is 0 radians. This is pi. So that's pi over 2. And then so down here is 3 pi over 4. Okay, so sine is just your y value. Cosine is your x value, and tangent is your sine over your cosine. So that's 0. Okay, and now we're just going to reciprocate 0 for undefined, reciprocate 1, and reciprocate 0. So cosecant is a reciprocal of sine, secant is a reciprocal of cosine, and cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So there is your zeros. Let's do our 90s. Okay, so sine now is 1, cosine is 0, 1 over 0 is undefined, reciprocate, reciprocate, and when we reciprocate 0, we get undefined. Right here, sine, cosine, sine over cosine, reciprocate, 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 and then down here, oops, sorry, guys, scratch that. That's 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2. You guys are probably on the video going, what is she doing? 3 pi over 2. Okay, so sine is negative 1, 0, and then negative 1 over 0 is undefined, negative 1, undefined, and 0. So those are your quadrantals, all of the 6 trig functions at each one of those quadrantals. Okay, remember these over here are just the reciprocals. The three main trig functions. Okay, so let's go to our 45-degree angle. Okay, and so 45, and then another 45, and then 45 past 90 is 90 plus 45, so 135. Okay, another 45 would land me here. Another 45 would be 225. Another 45, and then last but not least, 315. Okay, so in radians, this is pi over 4. So 1, 2, 3. This is a pi over 4. How many? 3 of them. So 45, 45, 45. 3, 4, 5. This is 5 pi over 4. And then this is 7 pi over 4. All right, so let's do our values again from the unit circle, which I have here. Okay, we're just going to pick up these values for sine and cosine, or I should say cosine and sine, these values, and these values. Okay, and these values are all coming from the special right triangles. Okay, so this is root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and sine over cosine, anything over itself is 1. All right, and so this is a reciprocal. So this actually came from, right here, this came from 1 over root 2, 1 over root 2. And so 1 over root 2 pre-rationalization, right? The reciprocal of that would be root 2. All right? So this is root 2, and 1. Okay? So here we're going to be root 2 over 2 negative, because in quad 2, this is quad 1, in quad 2 we're left, so that's negative, and then the ratio of sine over cosine is a positive over a negative, so that's negative 1. Reciprocate, reciprocate, reciprocate. Okay? This is quadrant 3, so we're down that sign and left for cosine. And negative over a negative is a positive, so this is positive 1. So tangent is positive in quad 3. Reciprocate, reciprocate, reciprocate. And last but not least right here, sine is the y value, so that's down in quadrant 4. Right, ratio of positive and a negative, reciprocate, reciprocate, and reciprocate. Okay, so that's your 45s. Okay, so let's move into the 30-degree angles. Okay, so this is going to be 30 degrees, and now be careful not to write. Think of your 30 degrees right here. You want to go 30 degrees away from this reference axis. So 0, the reference axis right here is 0 degrees, 180 degrees, 360. We do not refer to the vertical axis. We only refer to this horizontal axis. So we want to give a 30-degree angle that's 30 degrees away from this very important x-axis. So to get 30 degrees away from 180, we're going to back up to 150. Okay, in quad 2. To get 30 degrees away from 180 in quad 3, we're going to bump up by 30 degrees. And then to get to 30 degrees in quad 4, I'm going to back up from this horizontal axis here, so 330. Those are your 30-degree angles. So they don't just go row by row. You have to attach them in the closest proximity to the 0, the 180, or the 360. All right, so as a radian, that's pi over 6. So that's pi over 6. Some multiple of that, that's pi over 6. And that's pi over 6. All right, so that's just 1 pi over 6. 30 degrees is pi over 6. Okay, so how many 30 degrees is this? That's 30 goes into 155 times, so this is 5 pi over 6. 30 goes into 2 times 7 times, that's 7 pi over 6. And then this one is 11 pi over 6. And we'll just grab our values. Okay, so from the unit circle here, the sine of your 30 degrees, which is right here, is 1/2. Okay? And so we'll put that in. So that means the cosine is the root 3 over 2, and we'll use our trick for tangent that I look at this 6, and 6 is built of 2 3's, so I use that root 3 over 3. All right? And that is just coming from right here. If you were to be at this 30-degree angle, you'd get 1 over root 3, and when rationalized, that's root 3 over 3. Okay, so that is where we get this. Okay, reciprocate, and when I reciprocate this, I'll get 2 over root 3. When rationalized, is 2 root 3 over 3. So that looks kind of messy. I'm just going to do 2 root 3 over 3. Okay, so that's 2 root 3 over 3. And then when this when this is reciprocated, we do it pre-rationalized. So the reciprocal of 1 over root 3 is just root 3. Okay, so there's that. So let's duplicate here. Okay, that's sine. Sine's positive, cosine is negative, and tangent is negative in quad 2. Reciprocate, reciprocate, and when I reciprocate, I get that root 3. Okay, so this line and this line are the same, just signs are different. Same thing with 210, 1/2, Okay, but in quad 3, sine is negative, cosine's negative, and then tangent is positive. Reciprocate, reciprocate, and reciprocate. And the last one here, let's get down a bit. Okay, so sine is down, cosine is right, and tangent is the ratio of a positive and negative. Reciprocate, reciprocate, and reciprocate. Okay, last one, our 60 degrees. So this is 60 degrees. Another 60 degrees gets me to 120, which is 60 degrees away from 180. Another 60 degrees gets me to 240, which is 60 degrees away from 180 in this direction. And then 300, which is 60 degrees from 360. We do not reference to the 90 or the 270. All right, and so that's a pi over 3. So how many pi over 3s are here? How many 60 degrees are here? 2. How many are here? 4. How many are here? 5. That's 60 degrees times 5 is 300. So those are an equivalency. Okay, so 1/2 root 3 over 2. And now the trick here, you only see a 3 here, so the tangent is just involves 1/3. That's not really mathematically anything. It's a trick. It's a shortcut. All right, reciprocate, reciprocate, and reciprocate. All right, so here we go. Sine is positive, cosine is negative, tangent is negative in quad 2. Reciprocate, reciprocate, reciprocate. Okay, quad 3, sine is negative, cosine is negative, and then tangent is positive. Reciprocate, reciprocate, reciprocate. And last thing here, this last one, so sine is down, so negative, cosine is right, tangents plus over minus, reciprocate, reciprocate, and reciprocate. Okay, so again, you're not going to be filling in this chart, you guys, on a test or anything. You're going to be asked questions, something like this. You know, you'll be on a test and it'll say something like, what is the tangent of, 5 pi over 3? Okay, so this is what you want to go through. You want to go through your brain. You're not going to have a calculator. You're going to have to figure this out. So you want to determine what quadrant this angle lies into. What it terminates in. What quadrant does the angle terminate in? The terminating side. What angle does it lie in? So I would say, okay, well, until you get used to radians, I'd say, well, that's 60 degrees times 5, that's 300. This is quad 4. Okay, so I'm thinking about quad 4. I want to determine the reference angle. Well, this is always going to be, for the unit circle, it's always going to be these special, this 30, 45, 60. So 30, 60, and then 45. Find the sine, cosine, tan value based on the values in quad 1, so on the reference angle. And so this is root 3. A trick is to look at the denominator for tangent, and if it's 3, you just put the 3 there. If it's 6, you put root 3 over 3 there. If it's cosecant, secant, cotangent, take the reciprocal of the corresponding sine, cosine, tangent. So if this had been cotan of 5 pi over 3, we would have said root 3 over 3. And then determine if the trig value is positive or negative depending on the quadrant. So this was Q4, tan is negative, so you would put a negative there and a negative there and get 100% on that question. Okay, so see you next time. Hope this helps. Bye, guys.